Okay, so we were looking at the European Union and what are the different governing bodies, okay, which includes European Council, Council of the European Union, the European Commission, European Parliament, European Court of Justice. So all these are part of the governing body. And look at the governing council, who constitute or who are the members. So we have heads of state or government from each of the member states. So if there are, let's say, 27 countries, so there will be a representative from each country. It could be the prime minister, it could be the president or whoever it is, or a representative. President of the European Council, the one that we just saw, the president of the European Council must be there. Okay, then president of the European Commission must be there. So all these are the members and they convene twice every 6 months, twice every 6 months. And they discuss issues pertaining to economic and political scenarios. And decisions are based on consensus. Consensus means basically voting. Okay, so everybody are not voting by maybe everybody say hi or I or just raise the hand. I think that's how it works. So we have seen this. So we have the Council of the European Union. Who are the governing members? Representatives of the member states. European Union's most powerful decision-making body. Okay, this one, Council of the EU. So they make unanimous approval, qualified majority. And then when it comes to European Commission, the European Commission proposes new legislations, they implement treaty provisions, they protect the interest of the European Union, and they have very broad implementation powers, and they take care or they administer the European Union's bureaucracy. So all these factors are taken into considerations. Then the European Parliament, which is the highest body in the governing body, its seats are allocated in rough proportion to a country's population. So let's say Germany has the highest population among the member countries. So Germany gets more seats to the parliament and so on. Okay, but it has gained some powers over a period of time. So it has got around 750 representatives. They're elected to 7 5-year terms. Okay, they serve 5-year terms. So the elected representatives to the European Parliament can be there for 5 years. Any other interesting facts? Okay, so seats allocation is based on the population size of each country, which we have seen here. And the European Parliament has become quite powerful now, and they can influence many of the political and economic decisions of the European Union. And then we have the European Court of Justice. The European Court of Justice, settles all the grievances of the member countries. So if the member countries have got any kind of grievances or complaints, they can go to the European Court of Justice, file a case, and judges are selected jointly by the government of the member states. The court interprets European Union's law and ensure that the members follow the European regulations and policies. So the idea of the European Court of Justice, it's something like the International Court of Justice, okay? The idea is that all the grievances pertaining to the member countries are taken care of by the European Court of Justice. Okay, so that was all about European Union. So I think you got a fair idea about European Union. Please go through the website of the European Union and visit the website. And if possible, you can download the PDF or the PPT which I showed you. Then that would help you a lot with a lot of information. Okay. The next regional, trade agreement body is NAFTA. NAFTA stands for North American Free Trade Agreement. Okay, North American Free Trade Agreement. It includes countries like Canada, United States, and Mexico. It was effective in 1994. Maybe they wanted to counter, the European Union. So I think, you see, European Union came into existence somewhere in 1992 to 94. So the same period, if you see, NAFTA also came into existence. So you can understand they actually wanted to counter the influence of European Union. That's why NAFTA was formed. So it involves free trade in goods, services, and investment. It's a large trading bloc, but include countries of different size and wealth. Okay. So what do they do? NAFTA was implemented in 1994 to reduce barriers to trade and investment among Canada, Mexico, and the United States. So over a period of time, the trade barriers have come down. But if you see, when Trump came into power, he was building a wall between Mexico and the United States. So this was one of the big issue between, NAFTA members. Okay. Most experts believe NAFTA has benefited all three countries, although gains have been more modest in Canada and the United States. So which means Mexico benefited because Mexico has been exporting goods to Canada and the US, especially, agri-based products, poultry, then fruits. All these products were exported from Mexico to Canada and the US, so they benefited most out of it. So other than NAFTA, what are the other free trade agreements in the Americas? So we have the CBI, the Caribbean Basin Initiative. What is this Caribbean Basin Initiative? The Central American Common Market, that is CACM, and the Caribbean Community and Common Market. The CBI permits duty-free import into the United States of a wide range of goods that originate in Caribbean Basin countries. So duty-free, especially we are looking at textiles, canned tuna, apparel, petroleum products, and so on. Okay. Then the next agreement was the Central America Dominican Republic Free Trade Agreement, was signed in 2004. Obviously, the objective was to reduce the tariff. Okay, non-trade barriers. NTB stands for the non-tariff barriers and investment barriers among the United States, Salvador, Costa Rica, Guatemala, Honduras, and so on and on. Okay, all these small island nations. So in 91, Argentina, Brazil, Uruguay signed Mercosur Accord. So this is another accord that we need to remember, the Mercosur Accord. Why did they sign it? Because they wanted to have a common external tariff and to cut internal tariff on goods on account for 80% of intra-Mercosur trade. So countries like Bolivia, Colombia, Chile, Ecuador, Peru, Venezuela, they later joined Mercosur as associate members. Okay, so the objective, again, each of these trade bodies, the objective is very clear: to reduce trade barriers and non-tariff barriers. Okay, so this is a basic objective behind all this. So in 2019, European Union struck an agreement with the Mercosur, which is called also as the Southern Common Market, and they have the trading going on since then. Okay, then they also have the Andean Community. Is basically the Spanish area, and Andean group, South American organizations. So the objective was to encourage industrial, agricultural, social, trade cooperation, and so on. Okay, so you see, the number of agreements and corporations are increasing day by day, and most of these are trade and politically driven. Some of them may not be economically driven, some of them are politically driven. We'll look into those. Okay, so NAFTA, we have looked at the NAFTA, North American Free Trade Agreement, so I will just leave it there. Then we have this is the economic integration in Caribbean and Central America. If you see the countries involved, based on the color coding, you can see which are the full members and so on. Okay, and this is CARICOM. Look at the member countries CARICOM, and here we have the economic integration in Latin America mostly. So we have Andean Community, Mercosur, and Pacific Alliance. So Andean Community consists of Bolivia, Colombia, Ecuador, and Peru. And Mercosur member countries are Argentina, Brazil, Uruguay, and Venezuela. And Pacific Alliance consists of Mexico, Colombia, Peru, and Chile. So these are some of the interesting facts that you can look at. Now, we also have different trade arrangements in the Asia-Pacific region. So we have something called as the Australia-New Zealand Agreement. They call it as ANCERTA or CERT. Then Association of Southeastern Asian Nations, ASEAN, mostly consists of countries like Malaysia, Indonesia, Thailand, Philippines, Brunei, and so on. Asia Pacific Economic Cooperation Initiative is called APEC. Then Comprehensive and Progressive Agreement for Trans-Pacific Partnership, CPP, CPTPP, and you know the story behind the Trans-Pacific, okay, TPP, how it is doing and so on, because America withdrew from TPP, and now later on countries like Japan, New Zealand, Australia, India, they're all coming together to form the TPP agreement. We also have the typical, there's something called, SARC, South Asian Regional Cooperation. South Asian Regional Cooperation. So the member countries are India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Afghanistan, Nepal, Bhutan, all these countries. Okay, so but this is not a very active arrangement, because the biggest two countries are always fighting, India and Pakistan. So as a result, the SARC has never taken off or realized its full potential because of the regional fight that is taking place. Afghanistan and Pakistan don't see eye to eye. Bangladesh and Pakistan don't see eye to eye. India and Pakistan don't see eye to eye, So there are a lot of complexities involved. So as a result, many of these trade groupings are for namesake only, not very active. So if you look at the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, it was established in 1967 to promote regional political and economic cooperation. Its founding members are Brunei, Indonesia, Malaysia, Philippines, Singapore, Thailand. And in the 90s, Cambodia, Laos, Myanmar, Vietnam joined. And since then, ASEAN has been doing quite good, but again, not realized its full potential because of the regional disparity and, politicking that is taking place. But still, there is a lot of duty-free business taking place, or customs-free business taking place between these countries. We also need to look at the African initiatives. So we have the Southern African Development Community, then the Economic and Monetary Community of Central Africa, then the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS. There are different communities set up by different African countries to promote trade and economic activities. So this is the African regional integration. If you look at the story, okay. And then we have the Asian Economic Integration Agreement. There is an Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation and Trans-Pacific Partnership. This is the one I was talking about, the TPP, which saw some kind of, premature death, APEC was formed in 1989 to promote multilateral economic cooperation. So it consists of 21 countries that border both Asia and the Americas. But all three members of AFTA are members of APEC, plus Canada, US, Mexico, Peru, Chile, and the Americas. Australia, New Zealand, China, Japan, Korea, Russia, China, Taipei. So it's a very large and powerful, trading body, Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation. Then the Trans-Pacific Partnership was initiated by United States to spur economic growth and create jobs, and it involved Australia, Brunei, Canada, Chile, Japan, Malaysia, Mexico, New Zealand, Peru, Singapore, United States, Vietnam. The formation of the initiative was announced in 2011, but the agreement was conducted in 2015 and signed by Trade Minister in 2016. However, TPP will not come into effect until it is approved by the government of each member, which is difficult, as I said before, So that's why the TPP has always been like a premature baby, hanging here and there. And now they're trying to resurrect it. Let's hope and let's see, wait and see whether it is becoming another powerful, trade bloc. So I think the last one is the United Nations. Definitely you can, refer to the website, which gives quite a lot of information about what United Nations stands for and what do they do, and so on. So the punchline, the tagline says, peace, dignity, and equality on a healthy planet. I think we saw the United Nations website a few times before, and there we talked about the United Nations sustainability goals, correct? So you can look at the sustainability goals and so on. So you can read more about what do they do, how they do as an international body. Obviously, this is not a trading body, okay? It's not a trading body. The idea is to promote solidarity, peace, dignity, equality, reduce, the climate, global warming, these kind of things. So United Nations food program, they actually cater to a lot of poor countries by supplying food and, medicine and so on and on. So you can also be a volunteer to United Nations. You can apply for it and you can, be a volunteer. That will be something good. So a lot of information you will find here. I hope you can read through, like the resources. If you see, they also have a UN journal. UN also has their own United Nations university, for your information, and they conduct, every year they have conferences, academic conferences. So these are the issues or campaigns which are run by them, like climate change, sustainability, peacekeeping, sustainable development goals, which I talked about just now, refugees, migrants. So these are the sustainable development goals: no poverty, zero hunger, good health and well-being, quality education, gender equity, clean water and sanitization, then affordable and clean energy, decent work and economic growth, then industry, innovation and infrastructure, then reduced inequalities, sustainable cities and communities, responsible consumption and production, climate action, life below water, life on land, peace, justice, and strong institutions. Finally, partnerships for the goals. So these are the 17 UNSG, United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, okay, UNSDG, okay. So you can also have the, there's a book club on sustainable development goals. There are a lot of resources available. If you go down to the bottom, okay, you can read through and you can download things. If you see here, there's plenty of resources available for you to look at, the archives and so on. So please take time to visit this website and go through it and get enough of information, which I'm sure will be, very useful to you. Like the UN journal, they have a UN journal also. So if you're writing an article on sustainable goals, then probably you can, get it published here. Okay, so I think today I finished my session quite fast because it's about introducing concepts to you only, and you got to do your homework, reading, and study on your own. All right, any questions you have, my dear friends?